Well, good evening, folks. We got Cheryl Corbett and we got Wayne Bachman, and I am Mel still, and I'm still down here in Costa Rica until we actually blow up. The actual QFS goes. By the way, our merch is coming. Okay, I told you guys probably next week. I think we're going to turn on the keys and we're going to go down below the QFS1776.com. It's the Holy Grail. It is the Bible of how to transition over into the quantum financial system. Okay. Also, don't forget, subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe. We are in YouTube jail right now. So this one's going to be put on Rumble and our secondary channel. So when you see this video, do me a favor, everybody, come to the secondary channels and subscribe, because I do expect that any day, any week, we could be like Gonzo, just like that. Also, don't forget to share us on your social media, okay? Because that's the only way we can get around the algorithms besides subscribing and unsubscribing. And so you got to get smart to the system, and you got to sort of work around and go through the back door and keep them dazed and confused. They mess with us, we mess right back with them. Cheryl, I know you guys have been talking. I know that Wayne's got some announcements, some new announcements. So you guys can have the floor. Who wants to go first? Wayne, do you want to make the announcements first, and then she can ask you some questions?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay, I love it. Very cool. Very, very cool.
That was very nice of you, Wayne. Thank you.
It's just old school manners.
Very refreshing. So, in your last video, and you and I talked yesterday, we were touching upon, the stress that our beloved country is under.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I communicate and receive a lot of messages from a lot of fellow humans that just don't know what to do.
Okay.
Right. So they're overwhelmed, they're overworked, and work today is, even if you work for a good guy, right, you're going to get that one customer, you're going to get that one transaction where it's demonic, where that person is going to hang on and it just weighs you down for the rest of the day.
Right.
So the question that I have for you is, you have, communications with many other people who are from the other side, that are in it and are making plans. What can we tell our fellow humans to get the motivation? What tools can we give them so they can learn about, what their status is, correcting their bond, correcting their birth certificate to access their bonds? We'll talk about that in a second, but they don't even know what that is. And their attention span is so limited because they're so burnt out. They're so fried. Yep. And now the word on the street is, the last couple of days, I think I got 4 different videos of what the potential hazards may be over the next couple months. And then we have the voting issue, right? September 3rd, where it's the 22 months. Right. So in 22 months, they're anticipating a big switch because there's going to be a lot of dispersing of evidence.
Right.
So it's going to get even more stressed, more fractured.
Right.
First of all, are you in agreement with that? And second of all,
yeah,
okay. So what would you suggest to all of us who, have kids, who have 2 jobs? I talked to 2 people today. They can't meet me for another 10 days because they're working morning, noon, and night for the next 10 days.
Right.
And their day off, they're coming to meet me. And, we're going to go over person to person. This is what a person is, and this is what a people is.
Right.
Talk about the different, talk about the different, what a citizen is. You aren't actively participating as a slave. I call it their matrix. I guess it's because of the movie The Matrix. It speaks very intimately of the quagmire that we're in. But I also, I've talked to Mel about this many times. I'm in God's grid, where I don't pay their bills. I don't take their medications. I don't, overreact to something. I hold my composure. I generate kindness, or I'll retreat. Although I will tell you today, I did tell the FedEx guy to go beep, beep, beep. I will confess that. He was very rude to me today. Sometimes a girl's just got to throw down, but for the most part, I want us to build bridges, and I tell anybody, if you're doing an Anna von Reitz, like we have the QAnons going crazy with their decodes. My decode's right. My decode's right. My decode's right. You have the people who are correcting their status, and it's Anna von Reitz, or it's Russell, or it's David. But I always say, you're all right. You're all adding a piece to the puzzle, because we've never been here before.
Right.
So there are no wrongs, and you shouldn't be mad. You shouldn't be bashing an Anna or bashing a David. At the end of the day, take pieces from it and move forward.
Exactly.
Where it counts is the fact that, when you do get pulled over, if you should get pulled over, I have gotten pulled over twice, and both officers were delightful. They were very, very nice. I treated them with respect, and also tried to educate them that, please, regardless of your pension, which is why most of them are hanging on, right? Because, 35% of our fellow officers or corporate execs are waiting, they got, less than 2.5, 3 years, right? So you got that population as well that's not jumping ship, because they're very close to their golden pot.
Right.
But I try to also explain to that golden pot really isn't there. It's not there right now. But when you do remove yourself from that system, God rewards you. I see a lot of people who have left their corporate job who are doing things, very simple, just like the way we used to do them. If something goes awry, we fix it. If a cost comes up, you let the consumer know and saying, hey, we didn't see this. It's an unforeseen charge. How do you want to handle it? Like, we learn to build together.
Right.
We have to go back to that. So to go back to that, we need to develop that patience. So it goes back to, how do we develop the patience to challenge the people?
You're asking me?
Yeah. Like, what is the expectation of the American people? Because, I feel so many people are like, oh, well, other patriots aren't doing anything, and they got the head in the sand. And I believe there's a strong population that is doing that, and they're going to reap what they sow.
Right.
I don't get bogged down with them. I honestly believe the worst thing you can do is nothing. If you're sitting around waiting for something to happen, it's just not going to happen, because you really have to disrupt your world, right? Because your current state of mind is what got you here. So if you want the golden path, the golden brick road, you need to do stuff differently. The people who are doing that, who are claiming their, how do I say this? They're claiming their rightful place with God and with their rightful human. They are much better. They're much healthier. They look younger. They're more prosperous. Like, it took some change, it took a good 1.5, 2 years. This isn't overnight. Everything in our life has been hijacked.
Yep.
So freedom comes with the risk. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to think about the impact. And if you do get into a car accident, you don't need an insurance company. You need to make it right with the owner. I mean, all the money you paid to the insurance company, you could have paid for 20 accidents for each family member by now.
Yeah, that's kind of.
It's funny you say that, Cheryl. That's how we do it here in Costa Rica. Insurance here is optional. And if you get into an accident, I'm wrong, I pay for your damages, I pay for my damages. You're wrong, you pay for your damages, you pay for my damages. That's it. Simple.
Yeah, someone said to me the other day, I want to quit my insurance for my home and my health and my auto. I said, well, your health, you can do that. I tell them, pick a family member who's never sick and drop their insurance. Like, start off slow and weed yourself to get some cash back in your house, right? Because everybody's living week to week and or on credit cards. So there's tricks that you can implement to get out of their system. You don't have to quit everything. And I also tell people, when it comes to the house, when it comes to the insurance, that's insuring the material aspects in your life, whether it's your home, it's your car, you got to really understand what they've done. So you're so pissed off that you don't have fear, that you don't care, You know, you're not going to worry and call it in mentally. Oh, I'm going to get into a car accident. You don't want to pull out of your driveway like, all right, make sure nobody hits me. I don't want to do this. You drive 5 miles an hour so you don't get to a car accident. No, you want to get in your car and you want to, you know, go where you're going free and clear and not worry. That's what you want to do.
And if you drive that slow, you're going to cause an accident because other people are going.
Right. So what is it? Where's the line between trust the plan and you got to take your country back?
Well, Mel had a very important comment the last time that I was here. And that is, I don't recall exactly how he said it, but we're dealing with 3 jurisdictions. I'm presuming that all of you, well, there's only 2 of you here, have listened to David Straight talking about law, the 3 different jurisdictions, land, air, and water.
Yes.
There's a different language for each of those applications. If you're on a boat, you don't go to the bathroom, you go to the head. If you're on a boat, you don't go to the kitchen, you go to the galley. If you're on land, you go to the kitchen or the bathroom. If you're up in the air a lot of times is very similar to the maritime. Because it's a ship, it's an airship. So you have a head, or, you know, because there's so many land lovers on airplanes, they call it bathroom, but basically it's a head, and you have a pilot who's also a captain. And the captain, I need to go back and get some basic information going on here, which you guys might be aware of, but maybe other people that are going to be watching this aren't. The reason we have a judge, a pretend judge, and that's what I call him. I call him either a courtroom administrator or a pretend judge, is because during the Civil War, the maritime flag was kidnapped. The whole maritime process was kidnapped and drug into the courts. And here's why. All ships are their own separate nation. The captain is he who says what goes on that ship. So they drug that process into the courtroom in this pretend ship. When you go through the gate, you are boarding his ship. And that's why I asked my judge for permission to board to resolve the matter. You don't just go stepping on somebody's boat or ship or barge, whatever. You don't go stepping on their continent, their nation, without asking permission. And so I take those courtesies, manners, and I use them in the courtroom. And I think my judge actually liked it. And we got along good. I really liked dealing with her. She had gotten 3 judges fired, and so they put her in. And so that's why David and I had hopes for her progressing into the common law. But Mel had a very good comment on learning the did you call it linguists? Something like that.
Linguistics.
Yes, linguistics. Yes, and that's exactly what we need to do. I've listened to you guys here, and you talk about a human is the hue of a man.
Right.
Okay. And that is what the corporate people operate from. And I know there were some other comments in there I picked up on too, but I'm not picking on you. What I'm saying is we are so used to using street talk that we fail to learn and abide by the 3 sets of languages in its own rightful jurisdiction. And that's something that we really need to be teaching, because when we go into courts, they take advantage of us for using our street talk in a casual way. And we don't even know it. We're numb to it. It just goes right over our head. And yet let me give an example of just what prompted me to write this book that I'm in the process of writing, Exposing Legalese. And Lena has put her 2 cents worth in. We're going to call it Exposing the legal lies of legalese. And I just went down and got my shirts made up today and yesterday and today. And or they're in the process. And when, and I sidetracked myself, dang it. When we go in their court and the judge, and I did this, I won a case doing what I'm just going to tell you right now. I walked in and I was already angry at him because he has violated my rights so many times, and had me arrested and whatnot. So anyway, he asked me, do you understand this? And I'd say, no, I do not understand. Do you understand that? No, I do not understand. And he went through that about 4 or 5 times. And finally I got fed up and I said, I do not stand under anything you say. Bang, down came the gavel, get out of here, you know?
Yeah. Can I
and-
just say that? Can I just say to you, when I speak like that to someone, they
Mhm.
let me go. Like I say to an officer,
Mhm.
first of all, you're impeding on my choice of free will to travel.
Right.
Okay. Second of all, I don't operate in your jurisdiction. I'm a living soul.
Right.
I am not a corporation.
Right.
And they just don't know what
They don't have a clue. Right.
Yeah, right now I've been very fortunate where that I haven't gotten, that is enough where they just, and I tell people that's where you want to be. You want to be in a point where right off the bat, you just fire a couple turns from your heart with conviction, and they don't know what to do because they're operating from a script. They're not thinking. So I tell people as a tip, find out their script, listen to their script, go on their website, go on their frequently asked questions. There's their script, right? So find some terms and don't use the ones that are on the frequently asked questions.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what they got. And they may have another sentence or two in it, or with a cheap lackadaisical apology, but
Right. Well, and I have witnessed that myself. I don't have a driver's license. I haven't had one for years. And the cops, when they pull me over, say, we have to cite or arrest anybody that doesn't have a state plate. And I say, I'm not in your jurisdiction. It's right over their head. They don't have a clue. All they know is they've been taught that everybody has to have a license and registration. And so that's kind of what I was teaching while I was in jail. And, I really don't mind being in jail the way, I don't view jail the way most people do. I look at it as a good retirement program, and I'm getting to teach deputies while I'm there. And some of them, I do.
I love it.
There's one deputy.
You're a gangster, Wayne. You don't know that, but you're a gangster.
Well, but see, the way I see jail is whenever I get hauled into jail, I am there on the Lord's errand. Okay. I am there to teach. I'm there to be a good example, and I make friends. Yeah, there's a couple of them who are less than educated, who have been less than honorable, in my personal opinion. But one of the main guys I was teaching was one of the trainers, and so and he's a nice guy. He knows there's problems there in the jail, and he's not the guy that said that they know they have a problem, they just don't know how to resolve it. That was a different guy. He knows there's a problem, but he said he is there and staying there regardless of the corruption because he is doing his best to help these people out who get hauled in there. And because some of them are way Fruit Loopy, drugs. You see some horrible things in there. One guy was on some sort of medications, went off his medications, and he spent more time naked in there than he did with clothes on. And he'd crap on the floor, and he got it all over the walls, and just terrible. It's sad that what goes on in that place. So they have a tough job too. The thing that I learned, and I guess I could say I cherish this part of education, is most of the deputies who are in the jails are decent people just trying to provide for their families. And they've told me that. Most of the deputies that are out on the street are the egomaniacs. There's a few good ones out there. One of the good ones I recently met was a deputy that I had met while I was inside the jail, and he was really a decent person. I don't know what, individual. I'm still trying to break these habits that I'm writing a book about. Sometimes some habits are hard to break, especially with, I'm already 71. So, I've been doing the public fool system for years. It's hard to break some of those habits, but
well, you're
anyway.
also teaching us, so we
Right.
speak this language, right?
Right,
So for you to break through to us, you have to use that language and then bring us back up
Right.
to your level.
Right. Well, I don't want to call it up to your level or anybody's level. What it is, we have 3 pictures up here on the screen. If we only focus on one, and that's all we practice, that type of language that goes with whatever picture, then that's all we're going to learn. So we're going to be foreigners to the other 2 pictures. So we need to learn all 3, the languages of all 3 pictures, so we can better communicate with other people.
So you're saying you believe that if everyone understood the true meaning of law, that would clearly help them
Yes.
when it comes to
Yes.
trusting the plan or
Right.
sitting back and doing nothing? Because
Right.
now, when you say that to me, I got to ask this question.
Okay.
It's going to be a doozy.
Okay.
I'm glad you're
ready.
sitting down. And no offense to all the judges in the court system.
Okay.
However, okay,
However.
okay, that entity, that building,
Mhm.
when someone steps in there,
Mhm.
99.999% of the people are going in and are not aware of what they're about to
Right.
get themselves
Correct.
into.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I got to say, from an energetic perspective and reading energy auras, however you want to say it,
Right. Right.
that's on the judge. That's his house, apparently. Right. So when someone goes in, well, I'm talking from a basic human. A basic human's
Right.
going in there thinking
Right.
they're going to face your honor. Okay.
Right.
So a citizen is going into the courtroom,
Mhm.
right? They don't know
Mhm.
what they're getting themselves into.
Mhm. Right.
It's going to be a worse fine than they think. It's going to take them a lot longer than they think to pay it off, etc.
Right.
Our mothers, our dear sweet mothers, unknowingly have worn the hats of informants, and when we were
Right.
born, have handed us over at
Right.
the other sweet building around the corner. and for about anywhere between 4 to 7 days, we were free.
Mhm.
And then a live birth certificate was issued with a nice number on the
Mhm.
on the top right corner.
Mhm.
The judges own those birth certificates. They've become the executors of those birth certificates
In their mind.
in
And
their
that's why-
mind.
Right.
But legally, however you want to put it,
Mhm.
that's how the system is working right now.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
While we should be the executors of
You know
that
how you can
trust.
get to be the executor?
Well, hold on. I
Okay.
want people to
Okay.
understand.
Okay.
Okay. So we should be the executors,
Mhm.
but the judges are the executors.
Pretending. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. They made us the trustee, the one responsible. We don't know this.
Mhm.
So anytime we go against something that they think is wrong, out comes a ticket.
Mhm.
Okay. And now the states are the beneficiary. Who's the beneficiary? I've read, I'm just going to assume the other corporations that they own is what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So whether it's a corporation or other states, however you want to look at it, I'm going to say more of their corporations are the beneficiary. So we are not. Now the judges don't, go ahead, what?
prosecutors are probably the first one in line. Actually, the judge and the judge splits it with the prosecutor and your own attorney if you get one. They're all in it together. And that's
I
why
know.
if you get an attorney, he won't stand up and speak for you. He keeps his lip zipped because he knows he's going to get part of that fine.
Yeah, well, I wish people would just look up the basic, go back to the dictionary 20, 30 years ago and look up
Mhm.
attorney,
Yeah.
right?
He's an actor.
It's to take from one and to
Mhm.
give to another. They're
Yep.
telling you they're going to turn your assets to somebody else. Now,
Let me find my Black's Law. I know. Oh, here it is.
so wait, Wayne, let me ask you.
Okay.
The judges and the court systems are bankers in
Mhm.
my eyes. Okay.
Yep.
But the person walking in doesn't know that. And to me, it's utter fraud. How is
Yep.
this still going on? Where people are lively unaware that when you get a ticket, you are contracting with them. It's
Mhm.
under the water, the LAW, so land, air, and water.
Mhm.
It's commerce.
Mhm.
They are looking to harpoon you. They are not looking to help you.
Correct.
The court systems, make anywhere between what, 750 billion to 1.3 trillion a day.
It's a gob. It's a gob.
Okay, so there's no national debt, but yet millions of tourists are walking under that bright sign in New York City saying, oh my God, how are we going to pay this off?
They probably don't know about the, I had it on my tongue a minute ago. There's 4 letters. I know it'll come later, maybe, I hope.
But how is that entity still going on? Like, how is it that my God, you mean to tell me that every lawyer, I know some of them don't know, like, so they're not trained to know.
Right.
But when you get to a certain level, are you telling me that people become that indoctrined that they are now part of that conglomerate of the system?
Money.
And how is the average person, so back to my question, how is the average person supposed to stop all that? Like, how do we storm a courtroom? What is the expectation of how we end that? I say don't participate, but that's still not enough. I'm one of.
You can't acquiesce, or that is seen in their eyes as being guilty. So you can't acquiesce. You have to rebut their presumptions. And what David is now doing, which I told him I wanted to do this years ago, well, 3 or 4 years ago at least, is I want to go after them because bullies are bullies until they're no longer allowed to be bullies. So when we go after their insurances, their bonds, the bonding companies aren't going to like that. And
Well,
if
that's
they
what I'm
become,
saying.
but let me finish it.
Yeah.
If we go after their bonding companies, give them a bill. This is what David's doing. He's given the bonding companies a bill, and they pay it. He's gotten $30,000. I think it's 10,000. 3 of them at $10,000 a piece, if I remember correctly. And pardon my dentures, I'm just not used to the darn things yet, and I'm not fully tuned into them. But anyway, he said on one of his recent videos that he's collected $30,000 just in the last few months. And that can be a nice income for somebody if they want to do that. And that's been my goal for years. Ever since I started having this crap, is I wanted to find out how to collect. And, Hartford Van Dyke told me you can collect, and he's told me how to do it. I don't recall his process, but there are laws on the books that allow us to collect for our time that they unlawfully take from us. And that's,
Yeah, but so now let me ask you though, can't the average Joe just go and just claim a bond for for their fraudulent expenses of the past, you know, taxes,
yeah,
etc. Right?
yeah.
And
But
and
see,
they
if
shouldn't have. Go ahead.
somebody who is average Joe doesn't know that. And that's why the criminals know they can get away with it. We have to become more than average Joe. We have to learn what's going on in these other two pictures to hold them accountable to their bonds. Oh, I forgot to check in. What's the date? Today's the 8th or 9th, something like that.
The 10th.
Today's the 10th.
Okay, yeah. Okay. On the 7th, one of my friends here, Shauna Cox, has had a hearing or a trial, I don't recall which, but it was going to be public. She said there's only one bonding company serving all of these corporate agencies here in the state of Utah. State of Utah, I mean corporation, okay? And she said it's going to be public. So I can take, when I watch her video, that it's a public hearing, or I think it's actually a trial. But anyway, she said that it will be public and you will be able to pick up on the name of that bonding company that serves all of the corporate criminals in the state of Utah. And then I will automatically know who to send a bill to for my, what do you call it, violations. Okay. The way Hartford told me to do it is, there's probably hundreds of bonding companies out there. He said, if you will send your bill out to 10 different companies, they will put it on and tell them to put it on their APB to notify the other companies. They will put it on their APB, all points bulletin, just like the cops have. The insurance companies have them too. Bonding companies have them. You tell them to put this information, this case matter and whatnot, on the APB to go out to all other bonding companies, all other insurance companies. And he said, somewhere along the line, if you put 10 of them out there, somebody is going to get the rightful company in contact, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Use the APB to put out to everybody. And he said that you're just bound to end up with somebody getting a hold of the right company and getting a hold of you to take care of business. And but David somehow, with his professionalism, knows how to get the bonding company, and I'm assuming he does it. I'll go back to Jamie Corbett. I don't want to give her. Did he talk to you guys about Jamie? I don't think so. Probably
I don't
not.
believe so.
Okay. She is the grandmother that he has talked about. And she's here, southern Utah, northern Arizona, someplace down there. And he brought her up here to meet with us. And she was lied about. Her ex-husband is now married to one of the prosecutors down there in his land. And they ran up these unlawful charges of fraud against her, taking money from the state without the kids being there. They pulled some fancy trickery. Anyway, she was set up for 20 years in prison because of this fraud. She didn't know law, didn't know squat. She ended up meeting up with David. And so she parked her motorhome at the Walmart parking lot in Bend, Oregon. He came down there daily and they studied her case, and he found all the fraud that was being pulled, and they got her dismissed out of all those charges. And that's what we're going to have to do, is go to the bonding and insurance companies. And who was it? Somebody just had one just a short time ago. Oh, it was David telling about the sheriff's deputies up here in Montana, just north of me. They were treating people very criminally and unlawfully, obviously. And either 4 or 5 guys got a hold of David and said, let's take action. So they did. And David got a hold of the bonding companies and they billed them for just under $5 million, just under their limit. And each one of the guys got almost $1 million. And then the bonding company went to the sheriffs and said, you either clean up your act or you're going to be using your houses and your property to pay off your debts. That ended the problem. He said
So
that
I'm
the sheriff's
following-
companies, just a minute, the sheriffs, the deputies are now treating their people very nice.
I'm connecting what you're saying. So,
Right.
so you're going to be very proud of me because I'm going to link this in for a lot of people. What you're saying is, you know, we need to understand our true republic language
Mhm.
so we want a free country, and the country is a republic. It's not a democracy.
Correct,
The
correct.
demon.
I was so happy
demon.
to hear you guys talking about that because that's one of my hot buttons. This is not a democracy. This is a
No,
republic. I
it's a
have never
republic.
pledged allegiance to the corporation. I have never pledged allegiance to a democracy, and I
Right.
never will.
Right. So, and first of all, any school that doesn't teach their child, you know, their students the
Mhm.
Pledge of Allegiance, all parents really are, you're doing your child a disservice because
Mhm.
it's
Yep.
God, country, and then family,
Yep.
right? Because
Yep.
if you don't know that you're a powerful conduit of God, right? So that's where
Mhm.
you claim it. You know, you got
Mhm.
King David. I mean, you got all
Right.
these powerful
Mhm.
ancestors of ours who, you know, really stood tall against
Mhm.
darkness in
Right.
honor of humanity. You know,
Mhm.
this is what we're called to do. I'm stepping up and trying to educate on basic financial slavery. Mel has heard me speak many times that the property taxes, they go to the corruption of the hour, the IRS
Right.
taxes, not $1 goes to your country, doesn't go to the roads. Please look at your roads. Please look at the school tax. Please. You know, you want to be a badass. You can't be a badass sitting behind the computer for a whole 2 years. Get out there and be that example. You're trained. You spent the
Mhm.
time on the social
Yep.
media. You learned what we're up against. Now go out there, find a buddy, and start walking the streets. That's what I do.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had many conversations with police officers and sheriffs, and you know, they will stand with the people when the people stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said to me the other day, like Vendetta, V for Vendetta is one of my favorite movies. And you know, everyone's waiting for November 4th, you know, remember, right? So it's the eve of November 5th, and nothing happened. So they're
Mhm.
like, well, what's missing? I'm like, the people.
Yeah.
The people are missing. They all showed up at the clock.
I have a piece of history I want to share because it plays into this real well. Hitler got his clock cleaned the second time.
He got his
And
what cleaned?
Clock.
Okay.
He got his clock cleaned, you know.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So after the Nazis had their, what's the name of that court they had? Nuremberg. After Nuremberg, then there was another country, and I don't recall the name of it. I have read it. It's been years ago I read about it, but they started to do a Hitler thing too. The people found out about it, and without saying a word to their public employees, they all got together, got armed, got got the guns, got ammunition, got whatever it is they all wanted to collect, and on a certain night, without any warning, went in and eliminated all of their public servants, all of the cops, all the attorneys, you know, just eliminated them all. No more Nazi bullshit. And that solved the problem. That has been taken out of our history books. I read that when I first found out about it. I read it, but it's not on the internet. It's not, I can't find it anymore. I wanted to find out what country it was that happened in. I can't find it. It's not there to be found, at least not to my knowledge.
Someone maybe will know, and we'll put it down in the comments below. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to know about that.
Yeah, it was immediately after Germany was taken care of. That some other, I don't recall, it was a country that I am not attracted to. I recall that. Whether it was Greece or, I don't recall.
It wasn't Italy, was it?
I don't think so, because it was, I don't have any ill feelings towards Italy, but I've never been attracted to the Greek structures, architecture and stuff. It doesn't appeal to me. I'm a log cabin out in the woods type, or a sailboat.
Now, sailboat, you're talking my language.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I want, when this is all over with, I want, and my mom no longer needs me here, I want to be on a sailboat headed for the Philippines. And
Is that after you come out of a med bed and you're 26 years old?
I don't believe in some of that stuff, you know.
Oh, I do.
Do you?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'll send you a
don't know.
video that there's a
Okay.
gentleman, Jason, I forget his name. I'm going to be interviewing in a couple of days.
I
Big
heard
name.
something on those med beds here a few days ago. I don't remember who it was that said it. I don't recall, excuse me.
Yeah.
That those med beds alter your DNA in your blood, do something with your blood. And that's a concern.
That's if
I
they're
have.
plasma based. If they're not, there's different technology. If they're not plasma based, that would be not
That shows
correct.
you how much, yeah, that shows you how much I know about them. I'm not trained or skilled, or haven't really had any interest in them. So I don't know, maybe. If you
Yeah, I'll be interviewing
No.
Jason Shurka, who did an incredible interview on healing that I'm going to forward to. I'm going to forward it to you, Cheryl, and then you can forward it over to Wayne. And then my other train of thought would be, why don't we have an online school where people can pay, let's say, for example, you charge $50 a month, but that $50, let's say, for example, Cheryl can afford $50 a month. I can't.
Right.
But Cheryl is allowed to give her passwords to 4 other people, where if you really break it down, it's like $10 a month each. And they could
Right.
go to an online school and say, hey, these are the 5, or these are the 6, or these are the 7 situations that happen on a frequent basis. Here's classroom number 1, which has got maybe 5 videos that are an hour and a half long. And here are the linguistics. If you get into this situation, please learn this language. If you get into this situation, please learn this language, and so on, where you don't have to even travel around the world, and hundreds of thousands of people will just throw money at it because it's the right thing to do.
Are you aware of David's videos?
I have several of his videos,
Okay.
but I understand they're online literally for anybody to have. As a matter of fact, I got 5 or 6 of his videos on my QFS1776.com.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. His first video was done on the opposite side of Logan from me. He was up at Smithfield at the high school.
Mhm.
And it is my favorite general video because he covers lots of different aspects of law to
Mhm.
give you a good foundation for the general picture.
Right.
And that's the 3 March 2019, if you want to write that down, and it's on YouTube.
Mhm.
Okay. And now, I mean, I laugh at that video because I'm the one who's teasing about being on the internet. We were both at the refuge together, but never actually met. We became friends on Facebook, but we never talked with each other. And you know, I'd see him, I could tell he was something to do with ranching and farming and whatnot. He was in his farming element, but he never talked to me and I never talked to him until Shauna Cox brought him to one of our meetings here at Utah. And that's where I recognized, you know, I know you, we're friends on the internet. He said, yeah, I recognize you. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's get back onto the serious notes of things. That video I like because of its, what do you want to call it? Highly advanced kindergarten level.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Now you're talking my language. Yeah. It's got to be simple, stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
and
see, you know what?
he
Go ahead, Wayne.
explains everything that way so that the basics can be easily understood. And Now he has some videos out that I like even better because he shares how to collect money. He shares various other things. And so those videos are now, I can't say that I have one favorite video of his because he's that one in the beginning and some of these here recently are so good, so powerful. And I have let him know that I really like this one where he has shown us on the board instead of just verbal, with not having much of a short-term memory anymore because of these chemtrails being sprayed on us. Everything kind of disappears as it goes through and it doesn't hardly even make it to the other side. And so when he puts things on the board where I can see it, then I can grasp it and put it down.
Gotcha.
And that's one reason why I'm doing the book, Exposing Legalese, is because I do plan on putting some pictorial type stuff in there so people can see how to navigate some of this crap that's being thrown at us. And
another thing, I don't know who, because I interview a lot of people these days. I'm sort of like becoming like the Ed McMahon of, the QFS. And I'm discovering all this talent like yourself and like Cheryl and like American Joe and like Pilgrim Warrior, all these great people that nobody, I mean, look, when I see somebody and I feel that they're talented, I always tell them, look, dude, or look, gal, you're a podcast waiting to happen. Let's get it together. Okay. It's like, I'm going to push Cheryl to start a channel, even if it's on Rumble. I don't care. We'll push you, but somebody said to me in one of my videos, pull out your social security number. And I pulled it out. He goes, okay, look at this thing down at the bottom in the color red. I forget what it was. There's supposedly a way. I would love to see, I'm a sort of a rebel without a cause, or maybe a rebel with a cause. Okay. There you go. Okay. Now there's supposedly a way that we could tap into. Now we got to bring in the expert or the experts as in plural. Okay. That understand that game, because there's supposedly a way that we could pay our bills with our social security number. So I'd like to know about that. You know what I mean? And if there's $1 million to $2 million sitting there, that's my money. Guess what? I want my money, bitch. You know what I mean?
It's not that far down the road, and you're going to be able to do that. David is doing it now. From what I understand.
Let's bring in some more experts. Let's bring in the best brainiacs on that subject matter. Besides David, 3 or 4 more people. Let's put together a team. Let's make that shit happen.
Here's kind of a basic kink to it. You can only use that account as I understand it. I'm not going to say this is gospel, but as I understand it, you can only use that trust account to pay for things like, well, what David's doing with his pickups.
I think you can pay your rent with it or your mortgage.
Right. Well, the things that I know of that people have used it to pay for is your electric bill, your water bill, your light bill. Well, that's electric.
I've heard of that. Okay. Yes.
Public utility type things. And I know we're supposed to have half of it, but I don't know that the time is right. I know of people who've been put in prison by using it. And I've known of that before I ever met David. That's nothing.
Well, maybe you and I are going to end up in prison together. I'm
not going to do it until I know how to do it right.
Yeah. Well, I want to do it right too. I don't want to go to prison, but
But can I just say, the education, Mel, you and I go round and round with this because the education is so overwhelming. But at the same time, the education needs to be implemented so we don't get ourselves in this mess again. Like Wayne, when you reference the time, I think the timing is until we crest in consciousness that anchor of, okay, this is the law. This is how we're supposed to be a republic. And this is what's owed to us. This is how we're going to claim it. And everyone starts doing it together.
Right. I agree.
When you don't know your neighbor and you're not talking to your other brother, it's going to be really hard for us. You're just going to have random people. So a lot of people don't know because it's not second nature to us. We need to start educating. So programming, right? Their TV. There's a patent out there that their TV actually it has a pulsation,
Right,
right?
right.
That,
Subliminal messaging.
yes, that dumbs you down. So you think you're conscious, you think you're full of it, but at the end of the day, you're still lazy, not doing anything, right? You
That's
don't
because you're
have,
full of it.
right. I'm trying to be discreet.
I
Okay?
know it. I know it.
I'm trying to be ladylike. So, but my point is that people don't have the capacity. So I honestly feel, whether it's a NESARA, GESARA, and some people use that term, or using your social security or filing, with the bonds, however, whatever it is, we're very close.
Right.
Yeah.
But I always say, when it comes to manifesting something, right, you're 51% there, right? When you crest that 51% in consciousness, you're there. When you get the next 38%, easy street, because now you're feeling the rhythm, right? You got a little mojo, like stuff is popping, right? But the last 12 to 5% can be eternity.
Could be.
And that's where I believe we are, where we are just stuck right now because we're just so overwhelmed. We're so tired. We're seeing where all the money went, the corruption, the trafficking of everything, by the way, from us to women, to children, to weapons, to drugs. I mean, it goes on and on and on, right?
Right.
To the Calvin Kleins that I'm wearing. I mean, it's all inclusive, right? So
That's okay. I prefer Wranglers myself.
yeah. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Right.
But the education and action needs to be implemented a little bit better. A lot better in some eyes. But for us to reap the kingdom, we have to be uncomfortable by joining forces with the people that we are not happy with and building that bridge of humanity again that they've destroyed. Right? Right. So a lot of us, we don't have patience to be nice. We don't have patience to forgive. We don't have patience to ask questions, or furthermore, we definitely don't have the patience to hold our teachers, our police officers, our local county attorneys responsible. And that's where I'm seeing now what you're saying. When we know the legalese language, that demise a hell of a lot quicker.
Right. Right. And that's why I want to get this book out just ASAP.
I'm following what your way of thinking is and helping us cross that line where.
Right. Well, if you expose, see, I guess I have a little bit of a different attitude. I agree with David partially in that they are basically dumbed down too. But I've seen so many of them that are criminally minded who are deliberately harming people that I don't have a whole lot of patience left for it.
And I chalk those people up to CIA babies. And I'm just going to say that, where they're implanted, they've been trained demonically.
Right.
Is the only way I can say it. Like and I tell people, people ask me, Cheryl, what do you do when you come up against something like that? That looks, and this was the FedEx guy today. The FedEx guy looked right at me. He threw the box and he, said some choice words. Like, his vibration was painful. I just stood back. You withdraw when you're up against someone like that, because they have no boundaries and they're going to keep poking at you. They're going to keep pushing you. But you're operating out of integrity. You represent God. You represent the Republic. You represent, the new world. So you got to keep it in together and stand your ground and just keep facing it until they just go away with their tail between their legs.
Absolutely.
That's been my methodology when it comes to those dark forces, Wayne, and they're out there. There's one or two in every town hall. So I tell people, the moms who are so mad with what's going on at the school, they're pulling their kids out of school. So I tell them, go there with 7 other moms and tell town hall, we're not paying your school taxes. We're just not doing it.
Yeah.
They're not going to school. This is common sense 101.
Right.
Right. So I tell the people, before you go in there, you assess what tax assessor you're dealing with, right? You got 4 or 5 sitting in there. Find the weak link or find the human.
Right.
Don't find, because there's a demon in there. Don't go to her or him.
Right.
Because they love to just drag you in the mud, and they have nothing better to do than sit there and find ways to hurt you. And
Right.
those are the people that are actively destroying this country every second. And this is why I'm telling people, they are moving. They don't know time. They know no boundaries. Please educate yourself. Take 1 to 2 hours. If you're vaping, doing drugs, and eating crap, quit one thing, reduce a little bit of another, so you get your some common sense back. There's a reason there's a vape shop and an alcohol, alcohol wineries, breweries, they can get permits like this. A bakery, a bookstore, it's held up for a year. There's a reason for that.
Yep. Yep.
They don't want you
And-
thinking for yourself.
And here at Logan, Utah is a perfect example of that, and what's going on. And, I was informed that there were 95 of those bad examples that got arrested here, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that. I don't recall what the date was, but anyway, there is progress being made. It's just, you're not going to see it on MSN or any of those MSM channels because they're owned by the deep state and they don't want the public knowing what's going on.
Well, let me ask you a question, getting back to that Leanne's document.
Okay.
Did David Straight get a chance to go through that document at all? Yes or no?
I don't know. This is not the final.
This is not,
He wanted
okay.
me to look at it and to proofread it, so to speak, and I found a couple of things, but basically it is pretty much spot on.
Is it presentable to a court of the World Court?
I think it probably is. She's since made the corrections. In fact, she found the corrections that she needed to make without me saying anything. So she's probably already made those corrections. I don't know how. There's only what, I think 5 pages, 7. I think it's 7.
Okay, because I would love to do this. If you can,
7.
I'm sure you communicate with David on a almost daily or bi-daily basis, correct?
I wish, but we used to, but he just doesn't have the time anymore. He is so busy putting on these seminars that I don't want to distract or interfere from him teaching the public.
Sure.
I try to-
One thing I would like to do is these videos that you say are definitely, simple, stupid for the average person that can understand. I'd like to get my hands on some of those videos. You can send them to me at QFS1776@gmail.
There are, like I said, my favorite one is 3 March 2019. And it's on YouTube. If you just write down the date, and
3 March.
now here's kind of the key to get to it. David Lester Straight. I don't know. I don't think punctuation is all that critical to it. You can do the punctuation if you want, but I don't think I've done the punctuation.
Yeah.
And I was gotten it.
Because we are constantly adding stuff to our manual, our quantum financial systems manual, QFS1776.com. So I want to definitely put as much information of that, because I don't know how long it's going to take at this point for GESARA and NESARA to become the thing. I would like to be optimistic, but the reality, my intuition tells me, based on what I've learned also from the XRP Army 1.0, is that this is going to go all the way to 2025.
It wouldn't surprise me because people aren't waking up, as fast as what they need to.
Yeah.
And in fact, what's her name?
For the spigot to be turned on full blast, where we're going to be airborne, it's going to be 2025.
What's the name of the woman that goes around the country and giving these presentations? She's ex-military. I know her, but I have trouble pulling names out anymore because of those chemtrail crap in me.
Yeah.
And I know you have to know her name. But anyway, I was one of the 6 guys who invited her to show up at the refuge. And she did. And she helped to wake a bunch of people up there. And then they started seeing the criminal conduct of the BLM. And it woke up a lot of people.
Yeah, I would love to have a show with David Straight and Leanna once this document gets corrected fully. Have him read it, study it, whatever, and then let's do a show on it. That would be explosive.
Uh-huh.
That would be
Um,
explosive.
Yeah, and I will relay that message, but you'll probably have to do it too, because he will, if it's just me, he'll think, well, maybe not. He'll discuss it maybe with me at some point, but
Mhm.
I can't speak for you in your program, because I'm not really part of it. I'm just a visitor, so to speak.
Yeah,
I
well,
guess.
we cover the XRP, XLM, the wallet, the Lobster wallet, the XDC. We cover the
right.
ZIMs, the dinars. We cover quite a bit of stuff. So we don't just cover just one end of the spectrum. We're the holy grail of what's coming, and people
Mhm.
understand how valuable that thing is. See, because all these videos, right? They're all over the internet. They're scattered.
Right.
Nobody's ever taken them and say, okay, let's take them and put them in some kind of sequential order, the most elementary videos, and let's put them in a chronological order that the average person that knows nothing about nothing can understand this stuff. And that's what we've done. So that is priceless.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
It's priceless. Yeah, what we put together is absolutely, there's no price to put on it.
Right.
Understand?
Right.
We've had people from New Zealand, people from Finland, people from the Netherlands, people from Australia contact us, say, can we copy because we wanted, the people in Finland wanted to put it in the language Finnish, which is what they speak. And the people from the Netherlands wanted to put it in their language. I said, go knock yourself out, I mean, what am I going to do? Am I going to stop you from copying me? If I say no, you're going to do it anyway. I'm going to come to the Netherlands and hire an attorney and sue you. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
And I wouldn't do that anyway. I want personally,
I want the information to get out there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We're not going to get our country back or anybody else's country until people are educated.
Well,
And
I recently,
I don't charge for my time, and I get rather annoyed with these patriots for profits who want to profit from everybody when we're having a struggle just trying to get enough people woke up to get our country back.
Right.
Here's David's. David has statenational.us, and you can get a lot of his stuff there. Okay. statenational.us.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely go check that out. And I'm sure he's got a lot of videos on there.
I have known of this for quite a while, but I've been so darn busy fighting my own alligators that I haven't really spent much time.
See, my challenge is because our song with the QFS, GESARA, NESARA, the dinars, the ZIMs, the bolivars, the dongs, the lobster is so complicated. Now, from what I understand, I got to call Emily from QSI. From what I understand, that the Protocol 19 is either in place or very close to being in place, which is regulations for the lobster. Lobster right now is a practice version of the lobster. The next version will be the final, because this is basically, I don't know if you know about, Trump traveling around the world and putting up piles of files and files of, people in high levels of power, corporations, state figures, etc., messing around with the little kids on the ground. He basically said, look, we got you by the cojones. Okay. You got to capitulate. You got to sell your shit inside the lobster, and people can go inside the lobster. And if you know what you're doing, it's like I always said, I said this the other day. I said, because I was interviewing, well, actually it was just a discussion. It was Chip, Jeff, and myself from Live on the Chain, XRP Army 1.0, I used to call them. But he said, I would rather you call them XRP Army, XRP Community 1.0, because we're not an army. We're not at odds with you. But they're so far off to the other side. They're nice people, but they're not in the movie theater as much as we're in the movie theater. They don't understand the movie at the level that we understand the movie. But I'm trying to I said to them, I said, look, let's just say Elon Musk decides to buy YouTube, right? And no, you guys don't come into my movie theater. You don't help me beat the drum, and I become the grand poobah of the whole thing, and I become 8 million subscribers. Or my other choice is you guys come and help me, learn how to sing the 17-dotted song. Beat the drum with me. Let's demand GESARA, because collectively we got millions and millions and millions of people. So if we can get the XRP community 1.0 to join forces with us, and I only become 500,000 instead of 8 million, I'd rather have the 500,000 and forget the 8 million, because to me, it's about, let's get GESARA and NESARA here. Let's get XRP to $100,000. Let me go buy my boat so I can invite Wayne when he's 26 years old and he comes out of the med bed, and let's go sailing around the world for about 10 years.
That sounds good to me.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. But see, getting them in the movie theater is very, very challenging, because they realize that this is a very difficult song to sing. It's a very difficult song. But if you're in as deep as we are, you see the dots. You could smell the dots. You know what I mean? Even though you can't prove it, something is absolutely going on. When was the last time you saw Washington, D.C. all fenced up? Did you see Washington, D.C. fenced up during Obama or during Clinton or during Bush? Never. Never. Okay.
And
Have you seen about the Treasury people getting arrested? You know that story. That's a true story. I told these guys from XRP Army or XRP Community 1.0, they looked at me like I had 9 heads.
Well, I don't know if I should share this or not, but I'm going to, and I'll risk the consequences.
Use the right words, this way we can stay under the radar. Okay.
Hold on, Wayne. I just got to tell you, when I first talked to Mel, I said, is there anything I need to watch what I say? He goes, yeah, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say that. And I said, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, it's the medical stuff they don't want. The medical stuff. They don't want the medical stuff.
I said,
well, I'm not even going there. This is strictly religious relationship with Father in heaven. I'm LDS, or at least I'm presuming that most people do know. I've been kicked out of my own ward because I was with the Bundys, and my own stake president said, and I'm quoting, "We're afraid you're going to get us kicked out of the corporation." Well, isn't that exactly what you need? So I have been kicked out, but nevertheless, I've had a priesthood blessing before all this crap started. I mean, this goes back 30 years ago, maybe more. And in that blessing, I was told that I would live to see the wicked destroyed. And it doesn't say what all I'm going to have to go through to get there to that point. But I am supposed to live to see the wicked destroyed. I'm 71 now. I don't plan on living to be 171 or even 142. So it has to be happening sometime here in the near future. And by the way, before I forget it again, I see you have updated your flags. Touche.
I had Gilla Jed, who just started her own channel. She's a dentist out of Long Island. She called me crying like a little baby. She said somebody stole 10,000 XRP. Mel, she goes, I did everything you said not to do. I did it all. Right? She's crying like a little baby. I said, listen, let's see if we could get, because you're a dentist, you make a lot of money. And I said, why don't we get that, get your bags back? Forget about the person who stole it. Just, move on. And with that, she said, well, I live in New York. My broker that we send people to, unfortunately, doesn't deal with New York, and nobody could sell anything to anybody that's digital asset related that lives in New York. So I said, do you know anybody in neighboring states that you trust? He goes, my mom and my dad. The only problem is they don't know how to use a computer. So she went from that. I only had about maybe 2,500 subs at the time. This is a few months back. And she said, listen, Mel, she goes, I trust you. I will send you the money. You buy it for me and send it to me. True story. So we actually ended up buying it for her. Now, I don't normally do that for anybody, but she was such a sweetheart. I had to help her, right? So I said to her the other day, I said, about 2-3 weeks ago, she said, if there's anybody that is coming down to Costa Rica, I need some flags. She said, yeah, I know somebody, but it was her. She didn't tell me it was her. She was going to surprise me, and then she told me, right? But so anyway, long story short, getting back to the story. So she just got scammed from some guy in Nigeria, right? for
That's
10,000
why
XRP, right?
They've tried to scam me into it, and I just refuse.
Oh,
I
they're
don't miss
crazy.
Facebook. I
Yeah.
don't miss Facebook at all.
So anyway, long story short, her husband was totally against it. He said, "Are you crazy? You just got scammed from some guy in Nigeria, and now you're going to send money to some guy in Costa Rica?" So yeah, that didn't go over too well. She said, "Well, you know what? I'm a dentist. It's my practice. I make my own money, and I'm going to do what I want to do." So she sent the money. 7 days later, the transaction went through everything. We sent her XRP, and she's like to her husband, "I told you so." Mel's not that kind of guy, and that she's done 2 transactions with us so far, but she's such a sweetheart. So she came down here. I said, "Listen, you're absolutely a godsend. You're coming at the right time. I'm down to my last tube of toothpaste because I refuse to use Colgate, right?" So I ordered 12 of my favorite tubes of toothpaste. I ordered a luggage bag full of stuff. So she just left this morning. She took a puddle jumper over to Malpa East, which is a town where Mel Gibson owns a mansion. He's been trying to sell it like forever. In Costa Rica, when you buy stuff, you buy it and you keep it. Unless you want to sell it at a fire sale, you ain't selling it. It's always been like that. But
I use tea tree toothpaste.
Okay. No fluoride, no SLS, none of the junk, right? Yeah. Same here. I've been off the Colgate for a long time.
Yeah.
So
I also use straight baking soda.
yeah. So and she's awesome. We love my wife and her just hit it off immediately. I had to do a podcast yesterday with Marshall.
Right.
And so my wife took her for some smoothies in the center of town, and they had a blast and took some pictures and stuff. I sent you the pictures, by the way, Cheryl. Yeah. And I took her for a dune buggy ride this morning. So we had a good time. But guys, we're definitely moving in the right direction. I would still love to see. I would love to see Cheryl. I know you got your channel shut down. Don't start a channel. Start it on Rumble. I'm really getting tired with YouTube, to be quite honest with you. And guys, if you're watching this, we're not going to be able to upload this to YouTube's primary channel. We have to upload it to the secondary channel because we are in YouTube jail right now because of something Leanna said. They don't like Leanna too much truth, right? And so it is what it is. What are you going to do? But our backup channel is like 10% the size. It's only like 3,200 people, and our primary channel is headed for 31,000.
Okay, something I probably I want to share is that actually there's 2 things. One is that along with that blessing I told you about, I have done ever since 1976 when Cleon Skousen woke me up. I have been studying all of this stuff like crazy, all the prophecies pertaining to the last days, and studying current events and seeing how they tie in and everything together.
Sure.
When the millennium actually starts, and we're right on the cusp of it, there will be no wicked people allowed to live. Either you are willing to live peaceably and lawfully, or you will not be here. One way or another, you will disappear to other countries, or you will be maybe removed by those orbs that helped Donald Trump out at the Capitol. One way or another, once the millennium is underway, there will be no wicked people living here. They will be gone.
Well, the quantum computers supposedly can read your intents. Okay, it's sort of like psychic. It knows what your intent is. So if you have ill intent, you're not going to be able to exist in a GESARA and NESARA world. It's just
where
that
are they going to go? They can only go so far.
Well, maybe the Galactic Federation will send down some orbs and just extract these people and put them on another planet where they can all fight amongst each other for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
You know
That's
what I mean?
what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
That's
what I would do. If I was in charge of the Galactic Federation, say, listen, let's get rid of the jerks. Let's do it now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But in that thought, it's frustrating because you cannot morally punish those, and people until they have actually committed the crime, which I think is why we're going through what we're going through now, because we've all been put down here, and it's up to each one of us to choose the path that we want to be on, and thus earn, if you want to call it earn, the reward the way we want to live
Right.
in the future. If you're going to live wickedly, that's what you're going to get to live with when this life is over.
Totally.
Yeah. If you want to live peaceably and lawfully, then this is where we have to endure the hardships to prove that we are going, that is our true desire.
Yeah. Well, you know, my biggest challenge, and I'm sure it's probably everybody's challenge, understands the world that I live in, that many of us do live in, is this GESARA and NESARA world. We understand it. I mean, the people in our room, our people, they have a 10th degree black belt on GESARA and NESARA. When you go to our document, which is, it's a website inside our website called qfs2020.com, and you read GESARA and NESARA, you understand GESARA and NESARA. You understand what this is, you know, and that's the biggest challenge, because it sounds too good to be true. And because people have been conditioned to believe a certain way, people think, oh yeah, you know, tomorrow at midnight, yeah, they're going to announce the RV. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Ain't
It
no.
takes time to prepare a mind to be able to live something different than what we've been living.
Yeah, absolutely.
It took me roughly 2 years to deprogram all of that public fool system information.
Yeah. And by the way, Leanna wrote most of the stuff that's inside that website, qfs2020.com.
Really, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh, and they got their own videos inside that website as well, which are, I'm telling you, there's at least 4 or 5 months worth of material, and you could spend 4 or 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. It's a lot of material. qfs2020.com.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah. So if there's nothing else left to discuss, guys, we could leave maybe some stuff for the next time. Cheryl, you were wonderful. I just sat back and let you do all the work. I love that. You know? So yeah, but you need to have your own podcast. You need to get out there. You're very talented.
Yep.
Very talented. Yep. I'm not in competition with anybody. People don't figure, people say, oh, Mel's got this big chair. He's got a big ego. No, I don't. I don't.
Oh, I've heard rumor about that chair.
I want everybody to start beating this drum so loud that they're just going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what? That piece of crap down there in Costa Rica is really breaking our balls. Let's give them their GESARA and NESARA. We're tired of hearing it already.
Well, sometimes push is what's needed to get something going.
You better believe it.
You know?
David said it. He says, you have to demand it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do on my paperwork. I demand, or sometimes I'll say request, but it'll be with a / demand, and you must do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you ask my wife, she'll tell you I'm one of the most demanding people in the world.
Well, you know, and they say dominion, right? You want to be king and queen of your dominion. You have to claim it. You have to protect it. You have to earn it.
Yeah.
So, and it takes due diligence, and like Wayne said, and that's where I keep coming from. We need to educate. We need to, just let it. No one method, no one's better. No one decode is wrong. Just let it, and let's say, how do we join together?
Absolutely.
How do we join together? Because once we make that connection, the other day I was talking to somebody, and it just clicked on both sides, and it was so amazing because. They were like, oh, so you're right here and I'm right there. I'm like, exactly. So it was just a matter of finding that middle piece.
Right. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen that picture of a house cat looking in the mirror and it's a lion looking back at him?
Oh, guys, don't forget, look at that. We got GESARA and NESARA shirts. Okay. You see that?
Okay.
Look how beautiful that is. Okay,
and I'll have my shirt pretty quick.
We got to become walking, talking billboards.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We want people to say, what is QFS. What is GESARA and NESARA? That's we got to get people to ask questions.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And then you send them to the website.
Mhm.
And then they learn. And then we go on to the next person. And we just keep doing that over and over and over again. Before we know it, GESARA and NESARA is here.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for coming. We'll do it again.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
You too. Love you guys. See you
Bye-bye.
later.
Yeah,
Love you
love you
too.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.